Did Huawei just knock Nvidia off the leaderboard? Huawei's AI hardware breakthrough challenges Nvidia dominance. The breakthrough challenges AI chip race dominance. But why should you care? Well, you should care for a couple of reasons. It shapes what AI tools you'll even get access to, that's number one. The winner sets the rules. Your favorite AI tools might become less open, more fragmented, or even geo-locked depending on who's in charge. Global app access could shift. You could see AI-powered platforms that are China exclusive, language limited, or just not available in your region. And let's not forget, it influences who sets the tone for AI ethics, privacy, and innovation. Privacy and ethics are a concern. US AI labs like OpenAI, Anthropic, they're under increasing growing pressure from transparency and ethics. China's state-led AI development might prioritize state control, surveillance, or national strategic goals. The implication being, if Chinese chips become the standard globally, some AI tools might lean more towards monitoring than empowering. And lastly, it could tip the global balance of power through apps, not armies. Now imagine if Huawei's AI stack becomes mandatory for businesses in Africa, Asia, or South America. That means China design choices, safety rules, and political filters shape what billions of people see, hear, and learn. No soldiers deployed. No cyber attacks needed, just global adoption of apps powered by their chip. Now, Huawei's new development comes in the form of this new computer system called CloudMatrix 384 Supernode. This apparently performs better than American chip leader Nvidia. The hardware achieves an impressive 300 petaflops of computing power in excess of the 180 petaflops delivered by Nvidia's NVL72 system. Now, Huawei's new AI system, it's like a muscle car with 300 horsepower engine, while Nvidia's top system has only 180. Now this means Huawei's setup can handle a lot more number crunching per second, like solving way more math problems way faster. Now there's been various problems in the chip making space up to today. You've had memory bottlenecks, interconnect bottlenecks, compute throughput bottlenecks, power and heat bottlenecks, and infrastructure scalability bottlenecks. Now, going back to memory bottlenecks, AI models, they're so large, they can't fit entirely into GPU memory. So the impact of that is slower training, higher computer costs, harder reproducibility for anyone without deep infrastructure. Now, the interconnect bottlenecks, you've got multiple GPUs that can't talk fast enough to each other to share the data efficiently. This limits how fast models can learn because the GPUs spend too much time waiting on one another. Output being, the model trains slowly, and adding more GPUs doesn't help as much as it should. Now, the compute throughput bottlenecks, the model just can't process input fast enough for real-time use. So naturally, users get frustrated, apps feel laggy, developers have to catch or throttle requests. With the power and heat bottlenecks, we've got high-end GPUs overheat or draw too much power under load. The impact again being systems crash, throttle, or underperform. Hardware fails faster. Now, the final bottleneck being the infrastructure scalability, the AI workloads just don't scale well across infrastructure. The more GPUs they add, the more problems they have. And these are the bottlenecks that prevent progress in the space. But Huawei seem to be actually handling a lot of these bottlenecks very, very, very well. I mean, it's not perfect yet. Nvidia haven't perfected it, Huawei haven't perfected it, but Huawei seemingly have taken it a step above Nvidia. Now let's go back to the memory bottlenecks. Huawei's system is built to handle way more parameters without choking. The interconnect bottleneck, Huawei Supernode, has its own version of NVLink. Think of it like a brain-to-brain Wi-Fi for GPUs. The token throughput bottleneck, well, Huawei's pushing out 1,920 tokens per second, which means less waiting, faster outputs, and models that feel like they're running on NOS. And when it comes to the power and cooling issue, AI chips run hot, we know that, but Huawei seemingly are managing to keep things quite cool because they're still delivering a huge amount of power and a huge amount of performance by being able to push out 300 petaflops with the system not breaking. So they've clearly taken things to a higher level here and tackled that problem quite effectively. Now, the scalability bottlenecks, instead of 10 servers fumbling to work together, the Supernode is one unified beast, like a brain that just gets bigger without losing speed. Now, Huawei's CloudMatrix infrastructure was actually first unveiled in September 2024, but it was developed specifically to meet surging demand in China's domestic market. Now, if we go back to the token bottleneck that I mentioned, in AI speak, a token is a chunk of text, like a word or part of a word. Example, I love AI would be 4 tokens. That includes the period or the full stop. So tokens per second equals how fast an AI model can read, understand, or respond. Now, going back to this 1,920 tokens per second ability that this new system can do, this guarantees high level of accuracy and matching performance and exceeding performance of Nvidia's H100 chips, but using Chinese made components instead. Now, what does 1,920 tokens per second mean practically? Well, it really just means faster AI chat responses, lightning fast answers, in fact, full paragraphs in under a second, basically zero waiting time, even for long replies. It's like upgrading from, I don't know, dial-up internet to 5G for AI. It means no waiting on AI, faster chats, instant answers, real-time apps, and an AI that feels alive. And all of this has been achieved whilst under US sanctions. The core technological advancement enabling the CloudMatrix 384's performance appears to be Huawei's answers to Nvidia's NVLink, a high-speed interconnect technology that allows multiple GPUs to communicate efficiently. Now, Nvidia's NVL72 system, released in March 2024, it features a 72 GPU NVLink domain that functions as a single, powerful GPU, enabling real-time inference for trillion parameter models at speeds 30 times faster than previous generations. But in other words, it means Nvidia built a supercomputer by connecting 72 powerful graphic chips together so well they act like one mega chip. This setup can handle massive AI models, the kind with trillions of settings, and it can run them instantly, way faster than anything before, 30 times faster. Now, according to a report from the South China Morning Press, Huawei is collaborating with Chinese AI infrastructure startup Silicon Flow to implement the CloudMatrix 384 Supernode in supporting DeepSeek R1, a reasoning model from Hangzhou in China, based DeepSync. But what we really need to know is what's the implications of this? Well, a massive boost in model performance. DeepSeek R1 is a reasoning model, likely focusing on logic, step-by-step deduction, and complex queries. And running it on the CloudMatrix 384, it means higher throughput, again, the 1,920 tokens per second, faster response time, more accurate results from deeper model layers. And the overall outcome of this is basically China could start producing AI models with superior logical reasoning, not just language fluency. Now, another key part here is with basically US being kind of haters to competition and just using tariffs and all some sanctions and all other methods to just not allow China to innovate. It forces China to have tech independence, a domestic AI stack. So they've got their Huawei Supernode, that's homegrown compute. The Supernode is basically AI infrastructure architectures equipped with more resources than standard systems. It would include things like enhanced central processing units, neural processing units, network bandwidth, storage, memory, of course. It's got configurations that allow it to function as relay servers, enhancing the overall computer performance of clusters, significantly accelerating the training of foundation AI models. Now, it's also got Silicon Flow. This is just basically a Chinese infra company, just an infrastructure company. Will have the pipelines, the conveyor belts, etc. That's what's needed to form a pipeline for the Chinese. And then you've got DeepSeek, the AI Chinese AI model, equivalent to the ChatGPT, let's say. Now, that is a full AI pipeline right there, all in China. From the chips to the servers to the models, with zero reliance on US tech. And this is essentially China's blueprint for tech self-sufficiency in AI, completely bypassing Western restrictions and sanctions. The US forced them to innovate, and now they're independent and they could basically take over things in this space completely. I mean, if CloudMatrix 384 proves successful with DeepSeek R1, other Chinese companies will adopt the same infrastructure. The domestic demand for non-Nvidia AI servers will surge. More startups will build tools on top of DeepSeek plus CloudMatrix. China could create a parallel AI ecosystem with its own models, frameworks, and standards. But beyond just Huawei, China's broader AI infrastructure is being pushed. The AI hardware breakthrough from Huawei doesn't exist in isolation, but rather represents part of a broader push by Chinese technology companies to build domestic AI computing infrastructure. Now, in February this year, e-commerce giant Alibaba Group announced a massive 380 billion won, which is about 52.4 billion US dollars, investment in computing resources and AI infrastructure over 3 years, the largest ever investment by a private Chinese company in a computing project. Now, for the global AI community, the emergence of viable alternatives to Nvidia's hardware could eventually address the computing bottlenecks that have a limited AI advancement today. Now, competition in this space could potentially increase available computing capacity and provide developers with more options for training and deploying their models. It could benefit the world globally in a sense, or it could just lead to Chinese dominance. So, if the performance claims are verified, this AI hardware breakthrough would mean Huawei has achieved computing independence in this niche despite facing extensive sanctions. This development, it signals a broader trend in China's technology sector, with multiple domestic companies intensifying their investments in AI infrastructure to capitalize on growing demand and promote the adoption of homegrown chips. Now, I'm not mad of this per se. I like competition. I believe in competition. If you listen to the US guys, they're politicians, they're business leaders, they're always espousing our capitalism, the free market should reign, etc., etc. But when they're not the top or the number one leader and you've got other people that are better innovating, they seem to actually like protectionist policies. They seem to promote, I guess, in a sense, just no competition. And as a consumer, I'm not for that. So I'm up for China being able to compete. I like the fact that they're able to innovate and still work within these sanctions and these restrictions and just come up with new ideas and new technology in general, because I think globally it improves everyone and it lifts all boats. The only problem I have is I don't want them to have total dominance where we have to rely on all of their apps, follow their ethics, and basically just follow their rules, in other words. So, but I don't necessarily think that would be the case. I still think there'd be a demand for our own domestic nations versions of our own AIs, and that's the way things will go going forward.